Now we're gonna continue working on the lesson details page. So let's add a video player in here. I'm basically going to use YouTube embed code to add video player onto this page. So right under the title on the lesson details page, let's add an iframe, or actually better, let's copy an iframe of some video from YouTube and paste it onto this page. I'm going to use one of my videos. In here, I will right-click on this video and choose Copy Embed Code option. And then let's go back to our code and paste this code right here. Now let's remove unnecessary attributes such as width and height. We're going to adjust size of this video player in a little bit different way. And also let's remove this deprecated attribute frame border. And as for the title that has to be assigned to the title attribute, let's actually fetch this title by using our lesson object, like this. So now right under this video player, we're going to add a couple of buttons that are going to lead to the previous and the next lesson of this course. So let's create the following markup. I will add two div blocks, and then let's use link tags that are going to represent buttons to go backward and forward. For these buttons, I'm going to use icons, so let's head over to Phantasm website and search for the icons. So for the backward button, I'm going to use an icon with a name chevron left. Let's copy this SVG code and paste it in our icon component. In here, I'm gonna add two additional else-if blocks where I'm going to compare name variable with appropriate icon names. In the first case, it will be chevron left icon, and right away let's also add another else-if block and compare variable name with chevron right icon, and then let's paste the SVG code of this chevron left icon in this block. And let's also find the SVG code of the chevron right icon. Let's search for this icon on Phantasm website and copy this SVG code. We are pasting this code into the appropriate else-if block. And as we usually do, let's remove all repeated attributes from these SVG tags and instead use attributes variable on tags like so. And the same thing let's also do with another SVG element that represents chevron right icon. And now that we have these two icons ready, we can simply use those icons inside our links. In the first case, I'm going to reference chevron left icon. At the same time, let's also specify the size for this icon. I will use 6 units. And then let's also add the same component into the second link. That will be forward button. Right here, I'm gonna use chevron right icon. And the size of this icon will be the same as the size of the first icon, 6 units. Let's make sure that these icons are shown on the page. And now it's time to start applying styles to those icons. So I'm going to round corners of this button, also add horizontal paddings 4 units and vertical paddings 2 units. The color will be gray with a shade of 100, and when hovering over on this icon, the color will be a little darker with a shade of 200. And then just to position these two icons on the same line horizontally, we're going to make parent element flexible container by using flex class, and the distance between child elements within this container will be 2 units. Let's verify that the first button looks good, and now we can actually grab all those classes assigned to the first icon and use it on the second icon as well. So I'm gonna copy this set of classes and paste it onto the second link. Now we're gonna be expanding video player to cover all possible widths on the page. And to do so, I'm going to make parent element flexible container where all child elements will flow vertically and the distance between the iframe and the block with buttons will be 2 units. But of course, the height of this iframe element is not what we need right now. So to adjust aspect ratio of this video player, I'm going to assign class called aspect video. As you can see, this class adds CSS property with a name aspect ratio and the value of 16:9. And since we round corners of other elements on the website, let's also round corners of this iframe element. So let's use rounded MD class. And now under this video on the right side, let's add a couple more buttons, such as all lessons button that is going to be a link which leads to the main course page. And also here will be source code button that will open up the page with repository of a particular course. And by the way, we can copy the address of the course page from the course blog component. So right here, let's copy this value of href attribute and use it inside the href attribute of our link all lessons. But since in here we have lesson variable, we need to access the course. And just because we have already established relationship between lessons and courses, we can simply reference this relationship called course on this lesson model to retrieve the course. And for the time being, for the second link, I'm going to assign my GitHub profile page URL. But later on, we're going to be using appropriate links to repositories. Now that we have added those two links, let's actually use the same styles as for the first two links. So let's copy this set of classes and use them for the third and fourth links. And just because when clicking on repository link is supposed to redirect us to a different website, I'm going to use attribute target with a value blank to actually open up repository page in a different browser tab. Let's also make labels of those buttons bolder. I'm going to assign font semi-bold class for the third and fourth links. And in order to move those buttons to the right side, let's make parent element flexible container where the distance between child elements will be 2 units. And to actually move these two buttons to the right side of the parent element, I'm going to assign mr auto class to this div wrapper, which basically assigns CSS property margin right with the value auto. And this way, everything that comes after this element in the flexible container will be shifted to the right. And as you can see, we got desired result. So now let's check if those links actually work. I'm gonna press the all lessons link. It is supposed to redirect us to the course page. We're seeing that it works. And now let's also test the second link, source code. And we are about to be redirected to my GitHub page. This one is working as well. There is also one thing that I wanted to point out before finishing this lesson, and that is actually the fact that we don't even have to create this additional div wrapper to wrap backward and forward buttons. We can remove this wrapper and instead use mr auto class directly on the forward button. And we're going to get the same result, since everything that comes after this forward button will be shifted to the right side of the parent element. As you can see, we got the same result. Link to the source code of this project will be, as always, in the video description.